going on with your people? I'm here with none other than Kenny Porter, trainer, manager, and ultimately father of Shawn Porter, two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer. What's going on with you, Ken?
Everything's good, man. I'm here working with a couple of guys today, getting some sparring over at the Mayweathers, and everything was good, so had a good day.
That's what's up. Now, the elephant in the room, everybody want to know what's next for Shawn Porter. We get a lot of the fans pushing to see Shawn Porter face off against Terence "Bud" Crawford. But I interviewed Shawn maybe about a year ago, and he stated that, you know, they have a friendship, and Shawn said that he was going to wait till that's the absolute last piece of the puzzle before he go for it. Terence just came out. He stated that he don't want to fight Shawn because their friendship. You know, could you just update us on what's going on with that?
You know, I understand the friendship, and I understand they go back since they were like 12 and 13 years old. I mean, they were young guys when they first started hanging out in tournaments together and things. And they stayed in contact all the way up to now. And they've never been in the same weight class, so they've never had to have, you know, this type of question asked. But now that it's being asked, somebody's got to answer it. So we sat down with Shawn. We had a conversation with him. It was a meeting, and it was specifically to ask him, you know, what he wanted to do, what was the next move. You know, there's some things going on with the WBC that we can be doing, and some other things going on, and of course there is the Terence "Bud" Crawford fight. So, you know, we asked him specifically, and he said, yes, I'm definitely interested in it. I understand we're friends, but I'm interested in it. At the same time, I think that both of them are probably looking at other fighters, not just because of their friendship, but they're looking at other fighters because that's what they want. I think, and I can't speak for Bud, but I think with Shawn, I think he definitely wants to do the rematch with Errol Spence. That's something that's bothering him that he wants to, you know, go after again. We'll see what happens with that, but in no uncertain terms, we did ask him about the Bud Crawford fight. He did say, yes, I would take the fight. So, you know, everything else would have to come into play or come together, you know, the pieces to the puzzle, but there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle.
Now, I talked about him yesterday. He said that originally he wasn't interested in doing the fight with Shawn Porter, but he said after the Errol Spence fight, you know, he said that Shawn Porter raised the stock in his eyes, and he's willing to make the fight happen. What's your thoughts on that?
Bob needs to call us. We haven't received a phone call, you know. I'm not going to, you know, speak any further as far as, you know, speculation of what could happen, but just like anything, any other fight, you know, one person reaches out and they sit down and they start discussing, and then you find out where you can go with it. You know, if he feels that strongly about it, if he feels that it would be a great fight, I do. I definitely feel it's a great fight. I think that Terence is, you know, pound for pound, one of the best fighters, and definitely Shawn is right there with it. So, you know, why not? I'm all for it in 2020. You know, some of the other things that, you know, might be out there, you know, the possibility of fighting a Pacquiao or the possibility of the rematch. We haven't found out what's going on with those things yet. We need, you know, we need to know something. But if someone is really interested in taking that fight with us, we're definitely interested in taking a phone call.
Now, speaking of Manny Pacquiao, he mentioned Errol Spence. He mentioned Terence Crawford. He just seems reluctant to mention Shawn Porter. Is there any talks about that or anything going on as far as being able to secure a Pacquiao fight?
You know, there's nothing going on that I could say anything, no meaningful discussion. The name comes up, or our name came up in an interview his manager had, where his manager said that Porter and Garcia, Danny Garcia, were the names that they were looking at. You know, we're here for that phone call from Pacquiao. We're here from the phone call from Bud Crawford or Bob Arum. We're here from the phone call from anybody that's interested in, you know, fighting us. I believe that Shawn has the ability to rock out with any of them. So 147 is still the top division. We're still in it. You know, He didn't come out on the decision end with the Spence fight, but I think Spence knows, and everybody else that watched that fight, you know, knows that it was definitely a different outcome than what the score said. You know, we'll have to wait and see who is actually going to step up. These interviews are one thing. Someone has to actually step up and make the phone call.
I mean, we know Shawn Porter's willing to fight.
We are.
Any and everybody.
We are. I talked to him about it. We had meaningful discussion with the powers that be about that fight, and we were given the opportunity to take the phone call if we receive it. So we'll see what happens.
And he's always in shape. I mean, it just makes sense to fight Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is available, you know, and Shawn Porter's available. I mean, Terence Crawford is available. These fights.
Yeah, but fighting Shawn Porter is like skydiving. If you go up there, if they take you up there and somebody push you out that plane and you land on the ground safely, you say, I ain't going up there no more. So they don't like, nobody really wants to do that twice. So I don't think, you know, we started off Shawn's pro career when he was 10-0. He was Manny's sparring partner and went to the Philippines with him for 6 weeks. Then we went back again. So we worked with him for the Cotto fight, chief sparring partner for the Sugar Shane Mosley fight as well. And we, you know, Shawn was 21, 22 years old at the time, and he really did well with him. So, you know, I don't think that's something that they're that interested in doing. There's no way to know until it actually happens, but I hope it happens. I'll accept it.
Now, in order, if you had your choice and Shawn had his choice, what would your choice be?
In terms of the fight?
Fighters.
Well, Pacquiao's got the biggest name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got the biggest name. The next thing other than Pacquiao, to us, is Errol Spence. You know, we want to fight Errol. Obviously, Errol had a situation, and he's got to overcome, you know, being off from that. And, you know, there's no uncertainty. No, definitely there's no nobody's in a certain order, but I'm just talking about Pacquiao being that big name. I know that the Spence fight is a great fight for the rematch. And then, of course, there's the Bud Crawford fight, you know.
Now, after the Spence fight was such a performance that he put on, do you guys find it more difficult to secure? It was already difficult, and do you find it even more difficult now to secure a fight?
I haven't heard that it's been more difficult, but like I said, nobody's willing to just jump in that plane and get pushed out again. So we'll see what happens. You know, a guy like, here, let's take a quick example. We could have been fighting Danny Garcia. He was the #2 guy. We're the #1 guy. We could have fought him for the interim WBC title while Errol is out. That makes the winner the mandatory to fight Errol. There's no interest on their behalf. They took on a guy that I don't think is, you know, worthy of, you know, the Shawn Porter or the Errol Spence or the Pacquiao or the Bud Crawford. He's not at those levels, but they took on that guy. You know, they can say what they want to say, but that's what they chose to do instead of fighting for the interim that would put them in position to fight Errol, and you get the opportunity to get the win back over Shawn.
Right.
So it speaks for itself where that's concerned.
Right. So Danny is not the mandatory for the WBC because
absolutely not. We're ranked #1.
Oh, so you're the mandatory for the WBC?
No, they haven't decided who the mandatory. I'm hearing some different things. I don't know exactly what that is at this point, but you know. This is a business. It's not something that we're in control of. So they make those decisions. But I do know that #1 and #2 could have fought for the WBC interim and then became the mandatory.
So if you guys can't secure Terence or Manny or a rematch, have you heard anything updates with Errol?
No. The conversations. No. I seen Errol. I talked to Errol. Errol looks good. I seen him. We stayed in the same hotel a couple weeks ago.
He said he's coming back in the end of May, early June.
That remains to be seen. You know, that remains to be seen. But we'll let it play out. We're training and we're getting ready for somebody, and we'll see whoever that is. I don't And I don't want to take a step back. Shawn doesn't want to take a step back, so we're only looking for the big fights. We got absolutely no problem fighting Bud. We got absolutely no problem with a rematch against Errol. But, you know, we don't want to fight the Ivan Red Cashes of the world. We don't want to fight the guys that we've surpassed. You know, that they've all of those guys have surpassed those guys. And there's no reason for them to go back. They should be fighting each other in order to be great, in order to have this era be an era that you can have in a conversation with Hearns, Hagler, Leonard, and Duran. Then you need these guys to fight each other.
Right. Now, Bomac yesterday, he was on the Boxing Voice, and he stated that they don't want to fight Shawn because he's not a title holder. Have you guys...
I can understand that. I understand that. I understand that. Got no problem with that at all. That, you know, makes sense.
But
you know?
Do you think that he needs a Shawn Porter to secure his legacy?
I don't know what he needs. I'm not, you know, you look at things differently when you're the one working with a particular fighter, and you have a vision for him and where he's going and what he's doing. So from a business aspect or the analytics or whatever they're putting together that they feel is the plan to get him where he's going, we're where we're at, and we're just saying, hey, let's fight any of these top guys. They're in a position where they don't have to say, let's fight this guy or that guy, because they're champion and they want to unify. So, you know, I can't speak to that, you know, but I understand what Bomac is saying. If I was in that position, I would probably be saying the same thing.
Now, when you guys sat down and you met and you agreed that, you know, Shawn agreed that it's give you the green light to go forward with the Terence Crawford fight, what are the steps from there? Did you guys reach out to Terence or reach out to Al and tell him to reach out to Terence? How did that work?
Al was there.
Thank you, Kenny.